Poecilotheria ornata, which is also known as the Fringed Ornamental Tarantula, has many other common names in the hobby, like the yellow leg ornamental, the Ornate Parachute Spider, and the Ornate Tiger Spider. This species is a large arboreal Old World tarantula that is endemic to the forests of Sri Lanka, living in the holes of trees or behind pieces of loose bark. This tea is unique as it exhibits a rare behavior in the wild, where it has been studied living communally and sharing its hide with small frogs called Ramonella nagawi. This is a mutually beneficial living arrangement, as the P. ornata protects the tiny frog from would-be predators, and the microhylid frog protects the tarantula eggs from tiny invertebrates that would become parasitic to the tea's eggs. The genus Poecilotheria comes from the Greek root word poikilos, which means spotted, and therios, which means wild beast. And this genus, especially this species, lives up to its namesake. P. ornata is one of the largest teas in this genus, with the P. rufiliata being the only larger specimen. Females of this species can live up to 12 years, reaching a leg span of nearly 10 inches, which would be a formidably large spider to walk up on in the wild. This species is sexually dimorphic and one of the easiest to determine sex visually. At a size of 2.5 to 3 inches, this species can be accurately sexed dorsally. Just look at the pattern on the carapace to determine if your tarantula is male or female. Being an old world tarantula, this species does not have urticating hairs, but it makes up for not having this line of defense with lightning fast movement and powerful venom. While there has never been a human death recorded that came from a tarantula bite, this species does have medically significant venom. Symptoms include intense pain, muscle cramps, nausea, and dizziness. These symptoms have been reported to last not just hours or days, but victims claim to feel the side effects of the bite weeks and months later in the form of stiff joints, sore muscles, and other issues. There is a higher amount of reported bites from this species than other Poecilotheria species, which suggests that they may be a little more prone to bite as an act of defense. That being said, this species, like most tarantulas, will prefer to take flight over turning around and delivering a bite. In my experience, they will also throw up an intimidating threat pose before slapping or attempting to bite. But that should not be relied upon as a natural progression of aggression. If you provide your tea with ample places to retreat and tap the glass or jiggle the door a little before opening the enclosure, they will almost always dive into their hide where they feel safe. I always use tongs when dropping prey into this species' enclosures or when removing uneaten prey or the water dish. Even when it is hiding, I avoid putting my hand in its enclosure to avoid any opportunity for it to try and bite. It is important to note again that a bite is a defensive response, not an aggressive one. If you do not irritate the tea, show it respect, and are mindful during your interactions with it, you will most likely never have any issues. The most dangerous time interacting with this species would be while rehousing the tarantula. There are many methods of safely transporting your tea from its home into a new one that greatly reduce the risk of being exposed to the tarantula's fangs. I will leave some links down below in the description for some great methods that have already been posted by fellow YouTube creators. The husbandry of this species is pretty simple. Though this tea is from the hot and humid environment of Sri Lankan forests that experience precipitation nearly year-round, I do not find the need to keep their enclosure overly moist. This would be a great species to put into a bioactive enclosure if that is something you have interest in doing. They could definitely thrive in the humid and warm environment a bioactive enclosure provides. But if that is not the type of enclosure you're looking to set up, this is how I keep mine. I keep my spiderlings in small arboreal enclosures made of acrylic with plenty of cross ventilation. I give them about 1 inch or a little more than the length of their body in substrate. As tiny slings, I keep the substrate moist but not swampy. I also provide sphagnum moss, which not only helps keep the humidity up, but they use it along with the substrate to create dirt curtains as they web up their hide. I put in a sliver of cork bark or a branch that I rest vertically in the enclosure and provide a small water dish I keep full of clean water. For juveniles, I move them into the arboreal AMAC box enclosures with good ventilation and provide 1 inch or 2 of substrate, sphagnum moss, water dish, and a vertical cork bark. As this species outgrows its juvenile enclosure, I sometimes move them into a larger enclosure that is in between the size of their last juvenile enclosure and their permanent adult enclosure. Now this isn't necessary, and I know many people that will just move them right into their adult enclosure to avoid any extra rehousings. But I use a 2.5 gallon enclosure that I stand on its end and make a front door that I cut out of acrylic sheets. I keep the tea in this enclosure until it is about 5 inches, then move it into its adult enclosure. For the adult setup, I use an Exoterra tall 12 by 12 by 18 arboreal enclosure, but it will even thrive in an 18 by 18 by 24. Sometimes I also retrofit a 10-gallon aquarium in much the same way that I did the 2.5 gallon aquarium. If you use an Exoterra, Zilla, or Zoomet arboreal enclosure, it is important that you remove this screen top and replace it with a sheet of acrylic with air holes drilled into it and firmly glue it or silicone it into place. Of all of my teas, the Poecilotheria, especially the ornata, tend to be prone to try and chew through the screen to escape. My ornata has even taken to chewing up the styrofoam backing looking for an escape route. I provide them with a large water dish with plenty of surface area, which helps to keep the humidity up, that I keep full of clean water in case they want to drink. And I will use the cork bark leaned up against the enclosure from top to bottom or provide a cork bark tube for them to hide in. As far as feeding, I give my slings a small cricket once or twice a week and will pre-kill the cricket and drop it in on their webbing if they are very small slings. I wait 4 to 5 days after a molt before attempting to feed a sling again, and always promptly remove the prey if they appear uninterested in eating at that time, and then I try again a few days later. I feed my juveniles 1 or 2 medium crickets every week, no larger than 2/3 the size of the tea's body, and wait about 5 to 7 days after a molt before attempting to feed them again. And for adults, I feed my big lady 6 to 10 large crickets or 2 to 3 dubia roaches every 10 to 15 days. Now maybe once a year, a few weeks after a molt, I will feed her an anole or another small lizard that they have in the feeder section of the pet store. But that is not something that I recommend doing very often, nor is it absolutely necessary. This is a fast-growing, large, and insanely gorgeous species of Poecilotheria. It is my favorite species of the genus, with the P. metallica being a very close second. This is an amazing tea to see out on display, and I could spend hours just watching it crawl around its enclosure. This tea, like most Pokies, is photosensitive, so it can be difficult to get a great video or photos of it, as it will usually run and hide anytime it's exposed to bright lights. This is definitely a look but don't touch tarantula in my book. I enjoy watching it, but I respect its space and I never attempt to handle this species. One bite from this tea could lead to a night in the hospital, so the risk of holding the tea is not worth the photo I could post to Instagram with this lady crawling up my arm, at least in my opinion. This is a must-have tea for anyone that is as enamored by Pokies as I am. Even though it isn't a friendly tarantula, it is gorgeous with its greenish and bluish hues to its carapace and its reddish setae and remarkable patterns. This is not a species I would recommend to beginner keepers, but once you have enough experience to where you can comfortably rehouse New World arboreals that are quick, like Psalmopoeus erminia, without any issues or having a heart attack, I would suggest looking into this species as an amazing old world arboreal to add to your collection. What's up, Tarantula Collective? My name is Richard and thank you for checking out this video. Now, I was a little hesitant making this video even though it's one of my favorite tarantulas. Once the P. ornata had been put on that list of 5 Pokies that were banned for sale in the US, I didn't think there would be much interest in watching a video on this species. But there were multiple people that suggested this tarantula in the comments down below other videos, so I thought I'd go ahead and do it. Now, as I just mentioned, this is technically a banned species, but it is not illegal to own. I believe it was October 30th of 2018, it was put under CITES protection, meaning you could no longer import the tarantula from outside of the country, and sales of this species were made illegal in between states. It is not illegal to own the tarantula, and you can buy and sell them as long as you're only doing business within your state. Now that means I can't hit up somebody in California, because I don't live in California, and buy or sell one of these species to them. Along with the ornata being banned, there was also the Fasciata, subfusca, vittata, and the Smithy. That was the 5th one. So all of those tarantulas can no longer be sold over state lines or imported into the US. But the good news is there are a lot of people out there that are living in these states that are getting together with other hobbyists and breeders and trying to make sure that there's a supply in most of the states. Although there are some states like mine that don't have a whole lot of tarantula hobbyists in it, so it's going to be very difficult in the future to get those species. But the story isn't going to end here. There are a lot of reputable dealers and breeders and hobbyists with a lot more influence than I will ever have that are getting together with organizations that have dealt with this kind of thing in the past, like USARK, and are working with them to find ways to work with legislators and amend laws or allow exceptions to where this species of tarantula, as well as others in similar situations, can still be in the hobby legally. So I'm going to leave a link down below to Tom's Big Spiders blog if you want to dive a little bit deeper into this topic. And I would keep your ear out, or subscribe to this channel, because hopefully in the near future there'll be some announcements of some organizations that are working with USARK to try and turn the tide and make some changes to this type of situation. In fact, while at the NARBC back in March, I was able to talk to the president of USARK a little bit about this subject, as well as the Brazilian issue.
But yeah, ESA issues, conservation issues, we do as much as we can to either promote efforts for conservation. Yeah, we're a nonprofit, so we're a 501c6, which most nonprofits that people are familiar with are 501c3, so all we are is a different type of designation under the IRS. But yeah, we are a registered 501c6 nonprofit.
Now that's just a little clip of what we were talking about. Unfortunately, there was some issues with the mic, so half the conversation that I had with him didn't even really make it on camera. It just was me filming him talking and no audio at all. Well, I guess there was audio. It was some guy behind me talking about a tarantula. But I'm hoping to get an interview with him again in the future next time our paths cross. But in the meantime, if you have a P. ornata or are hoping to get one in the future, I hope you found this entertaining and helpful. And even though you can't order this species anymore from online dealers if they're shipping across state lines, reach out in some tarantula groups on Facebook, like the Tarantula Collective, and see if you can find some dealers in your own state. Now, there are a couple of different websites out there that are building lists of dealers in every state and working on trying to get the community together and involved and making sure this species survives in the hobby. Unfortunately, the area that this species is endemic is under threat of heavy deforestation, so there's no guarantee how much longer it will survive in the wild. Well, if you enjoyed this video, you found it helpful at all, be sure you hit that like button, and if you want to support this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell right next to it. That way you're alerted anytime I post any new videos in the future. As always, you can join us in the Facebook group, the Tarantula Collective, or follow me on Twitter or Instagram. I got the links down below there as well. And I want to thank some of the members of our Patreon. They support every month, give a little bit of money just to kind of help keep this thing going, and helps fund our giveaways and stuff like that we have on our different social media groups. So a big shout out to Amber Marjorie and Brandy Keith, Dave Ellert and Emily Howard, Erica McAllister, of course Jeff Summerhill, Mo Collin and Starina Abrahamson, and Stephanie Cunningham, Yancey Duncanson, and Michigan Arachnids. Big thanks to you guys. Really appreciate your support. Well, thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a comment down below of any suggestions you have for future episodes, or to cast your vote on which species you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of Tarantula Tuesday. I am getting out of town next weekend for Memorial Day. I'm not quite sure where I'm going yet, so it may not be a video just like this, but I will make sure I upload something. Alright critters, I gotta get out of here. I need to turn these lights off. I just saw that my P. cambridgei has molted. Like, it must have happened right before I turned the lights on or something, so I don't want to disturb it anymore. I'm hoping her will find out as soon as I can get that mold out of there and sex it. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all joining me every Tuesday. This is very cool. You guys are awesome. I don't know what else to say, except I will see you next Tuesday. Yeah, I just want to say something real quick to you guys. It is almost midnight on Sunday night, which means right before I shot this outro, I watched Game of Thrones. And I'm about ready to sit down. That last part you just saw is now uploading to the computer, and I am about ready to finish editing the video so it is ready for Tuesday. But I got an unpopular opinion here. I'm sitting here watching this file upload and reading some tweets and stuff on Facebook and Instagram, and a lot of people hated that last season finale of Game of Thrones, and I just gotta say, I freaking liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very cinematic, very cool. I enjoyed it. I did not see that coming. Which I'm not going to say what, because maybe you haven't seen it yet. I think Kylie is just now starting to watch it. One of the moderators in the Facebook group, so I don't want to ruin anything for her or for anybody really. But yeah, if you disagree, you hated it, make sure to leave a comment down below and fight me.